I think we can all agree that life right now is kinda stressful. The future is uncertain. The news is bleak, and sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, you just can't catch a break. So today, we gonna take a step back from our current problems and look at one of the most insane facts about humanity. The fact that we even exist at all. Our planet has been around for 4.5 billion years, but it wasn't until 300,000 years ago that the first humans appeared. But they weren't much like us. In fact, they were barely even human. And if we didn't study the fossil record, we wouldn't know they ever existed. These early humans were part of a group called the Homo genus, which also includes modern humans and several extinct species of archaic humans, such as Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo erectus. Most of these early humans were short with small brains and primitive stone tools. They lived in small groups and were constantly on the move. They hunted wild animals for food and used fire to cook their prey. Some species of archaic humans migrated out of Africa and into Europe and Asia, where they lived for hundreds of thousands of years. But something interesting happened when these humans moved away from Africa. Their DNA changed not a little bit, but a lot. It turns out that when these humans left their African homeland, they interbred with other hominid species that had evolved in different parts of the world. One example is the Neanderthals who lived in Europe and Asia. They were stocky with short limbs and large brains. They buried their dead and made cave paintings. But despite their many accomplishments, they went extinct about 40,000 years ago. Why? Scientists aren't sure, but it might have had something to do with their bulky bodies, which may have been better suited for cold climates than for hot ones. Or maybe it was because they lacked the social and technological complexity of Homo sapiens. But here's where things get really interesting. While Neanderthals are often portrayed as our savage enemies, genetic evidence suggests that members of our species interbred with them as well as with another group known as the Denisovans, who were thought to have lived in Siberia and Southeast Asia. Scientists estimate that Homo sapiens began mating with Neanderthals as early as 65,000 years ago, and with Denisovans as early as 700,000 years ago. This means that some people alive today have Neanderthal or Denisovan genes in their DNA, although the percentage varies widely depending on ancestry. For example, Europeans tend to have more Neanderthal DNA than Africans do. Now, you might be wondering why this is important. Well, it turns out that these archaic humans had some pretty interesting adaptations that may have helped our species survive. For example, Neanderthals were better at regulating their body temperature than modern humans, which may have given them an advantage in cold climates. They also had a gene variant that makes them less susceptible to certain viruses. These are just two examples, but there are many others. And it's possible that these adaptations played a role in helping our species survive and thrive. Okay, so far we haven't talked about how humans became modern humans. But the truth is scientists don't have all the answers. The fossil record is incomplete, and the transition from archaic humans to modern humans was probably gradual and not totally linear. However, we do know that the human brain increased dramatically in size during the Stone Age, which allowed us to develop new technologies and social structures. We also know that Homo sapiens eventually replaced all other hominids, but it's unclear how this happened. Some scientists believe that humans simply outcompeted other hominids for resources, while others argue that humans had a cognitive or technological advantage that allowed them to spread more quickly. Still, others suggest that there was more to the story, such as disease or violence. One thing is for sure, though. It was a long and complicated process that took place over millions of years, and we're still learning new things about it all the time. Now let's talk about the cognitive revolution, which refers to the period of time when humans began to develop more advanced cognitive abilities, such as language, abstract thinking, and the ability to solve complex problems. Scientists don't know exactly when this happened, but it is thought to have begun in Africa around 60,000 years ago, and then spread to other parts of the world as humans migrated out of Africa. This revolution is believed to have been driven by a number of factors, including the increasing complexity of human social structures, the development of new technologies, and the changing environment. One key development was the expansion of the human brain, which allowed for more sophisticated cognitive abilities. Another important factor was the development of language, which enabled humans to communicate more effectively, share knowledge, and coordinate activities. Together, these factors led to the emergence of new technologies, such as more advanced tools and weapons, as well as more complex social structures and cultural practices. The cognitive revolution marked a turning point in human history and laid the foundation for the development of civilization. It is no exaggeration to say that it changed the course of history and led to the world we live in today. Okay, so now let's jump forward to the agricultural revolution, which was a period of technological advancement that began around 12,000 years ago, with the domestication of plants and animals. This revolution began in several different parts of the world independently, and it allowed humans to settle down in one place and grow their own food, instead of relying on hunting and gathering. This change in lifestyle had profound effects on human societies. Agriculture led to the development of villages and eventually cities, as well as more complex social structures and institutions. It also led to the specialization of labor, as people began to have different roles in society based on their skills and abilities. The agricultural revolution also had a profound impact on the environment. Humans began to have a much greater impact on their surroundings as they cleared forests and fields and raised livestock. This impact would only grow in the centuries to come. We hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour through the history of humanity. It is amazing to think about how far we've come from our humble beginnings as nomadic hunter-gatherers to our current status as a global civilization. Of course, this is just a tiny fraction of the story, and there is so much more to learn about the history of humanity. But we hope we've given you a taste of what it would be like to study this fascinating topic. So what do you think? What was the most surprising or interesting fact you learned in this video? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more educational videos like this one. Thanks for watching. Okay, now that we've established how awesome humans are, it's time to talk about one of the biggest threats to our continued awesomeness, ourselves. That's right, we humans have a knack for messing things up, and we've been at it for a long time. Take, for example, the megafauna, which refers to the large animals that roamed the Earth during the Pleistocene epoch, which lasted from about 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago. This group included animals like woolly mammoths, giant sloths, and saber-toothed cats. But wait a minute, you might be thinking those animals are extinct. Yep, that's right. And scientists believe that humans played a big role in their extinction. As humans migrated around the globe, they hunted these animals for food and sport, and they also competed with them for resources. Plus, humans brought with them new diseases that these animals had never encountered before, and they weren't able to adapt in time. It is hard to say exactly how much humans were responsible for the extinction of megafauna, since there are other factors like climate change. But scientists generally agree that humans had a big impact, and we've continued to have a major impact on the environment ever since. Take, for example, the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, which was a period of severe dust storms that ravaged the Great Plains of North America. This ecological and agricultural disaster was caused by a combination of factors, including years of drought and the unsustainable farming practices of the time. But humans were ultimately responsible for the Dust Bowl, just as they were responsible for the extinction of the dodo bird, which was a large flightless bird that lived on the island of Mauritius. It went extinct in the 17th century after humans arrived and introduced new species to the island. But humans aren't just bad for animals and plants. We're also bad for each other. Take, for example, the Black Death, which was a devastating pandemic that ravaged Europe in the 14th century. It's estimated that it killed around 30 to 50% of the population. The disease was caused by bacteria, and it spread rapidly through Europe. Thanks to the poor sanitation and living conditions of the time, humans were also responsible for the three largest wars in human history: World War I, World War II, and the Mongol invasions, which all resulted in the deaths of millions of people. Clearly, humans have a knack for causing massive devastation, but we've also shown a remarkable ability to bounce back. After the Black Death, Europe eventually recovered and went on to enter the Renaissance period, which was a rebirth of culture, art, and science. After World War II, Europe and the rest of the world entered the baby boom period, which saw a sharp increase in birth rates. And after the Dust Bowl, humans developed new farming techniques that helped prevent another ecological disaster. It seems that no matter how much damage we cause, we always seem to bounce back. But that doesn't mean we should keep doing it. If we want to continue to exist and thrive on this planet, we need to find a way to harness our awesome power for good instead of evil. Maybe then we can go on to cause more awesomeness in the universe.